Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Big TV. My name's Ali Akani and I've got today with me Simon Linge of Livium. Simon, welcome to the show. For those who don't know Livium, give us a 30-second overview on firstly Livium, but also on yourself.
Certainly. Livium is a operating technology business that delivers critical materials to the battery industry. We really do that through three technology platforms. One is lithium chemicals that deals with the mining end of the technology spectrum and improves yields at mines, subject to a joint development agreement with Mineral Resources. We have a battery materials division under the name of VSPC, where we're one of the few people outside of China with the capability to make a cathode active material, which is a material that goes in the positive end of the battery, and called LFP. And then we have our battery recycling business, EnviroStream, where we're the leading recycler of lithium-ion batteries, end-of-life lithium-ion batteries here in Australia today. In terms of myself, my background's really been out of the metals industry. I've been with Livium for 2.5 years as the CEO and Managing Director, but a long career with BlueScope, very much overseas for a large part of that career, running and leading businesses for BlueScope, principally through Asia, Malaysia, China, Indonesia. But my last role with them was also running Southeast Asia as a total division, sort of $1.5 billion revenue business across the ASEAN footprint. I then went on to be the CEO for a global foundry business called Bradken, where we grew that business quite successfully. And after handing over the reins, I was approached by what was then called Lithium Australia, now Livium, to come and join. And I thought initially they probably had the wrong person in battery technology. How did I fit with that background? But I guess as we spoke, really got to understand the challenges that Livium had and the opportunity to add value, particularly in turning around businesses, getting them set on a clear strategy for realising value. And that's what we've been doing over the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, that's great. It certainly sounds like you're no stranger to, industrials and heavy industries. Personally, I've been following, Livium or what then was Lithium Australia for at least 3 years now. It's certainly, as you rightly put it, a turnaround. Maybe touch upon that a bit more. Why do you feel, it's a turnaround? Why do you think it has the right bones? And, what attracted you to Livium?
Look, I think when I came into Livium, what I could identify was we were a business that had done a lot of work on the R&D side of things, that we had some good technologies, some good principles. We were at the start of and the beginning of the energy transition and being able to play a part of that. But where we needed to switch was into being a lot more commercial. And how do we commercialize our technologies? How do we become commercial in the sense of with our clients, looking to make money for our shareholders and drive that revenue line, particularly out of recycling? But how do we commercialize those technologies? And I saw those opportunities. The board saw those opportunities, and that's what we've been pursuing over the last 2.5 years. And I think with in what is still difficult market conditions for small caps, with quite a bit of success in terms of our achievements.
Yeah, excellent. So there's obviously pretty clearly three, at least, streams of business within the Livium group, being EnviroStream for battery recycling, VSPC for battery materials, and then you've got Leona, which is lithium extraction. So let's just touch on EnviroStream firstly. You've done a great job turning it around from, a cash burning business to now a cash flow positive business with some good long-term enterprise clients and contracts. You recently announced a $5 million contract. Tell us a bit around why these enterprise clients are important and what the future of the EnviroStream business looks like.
Yeah, look, as we look forward to the amount of lithium-ion batteries that are entering the market today, you might say it's a $20-25 million market. Over the next 5 years, that's looking like a $120 million market. Spread that out 10 years from now, 2035, that's a $500 million market. And what is leading that growth in that market for end-of-life batteries is what we describe as medium to large format batteries. so particularly for e-mobility and energy storage. The people who control those batteries are typically blue chip clients. And so the other level of batteries, the small consumer batteries, that's pretty much forecast to be a static level of volumes over the next 10 years. So if you look at what drives volumes, it's the large format. Those large formats come from blue chip clients who are looking for a B2B experience. And so that's our focus. So we've been actively signing up over the last 18 months, 2 years, a range of blue chip clients like BYD, like LG Energy Solutions, Hyundai, Volvo, but also into the grid areas like Lithium, Zico, or installers of batteries and deinstaller of batteries, to try and capture as much of that future flow today. And that's been successful. We've got an offer that I think is a great value proposition for our clients, and we've been successful in bringing them into the tent on extended contracts.
Yeah, I think that's really key, isn't it, to have that stickiness within the client base. I think also often overlooked is how important large format lithium ion battery storage units are to this revenue stream. People often think EVs just because, it's the shiny thing, but you've often got this boring part of the business, so to speak, which is got a lot more in it.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people, when you talk to them about batteries and large format, they immediately draw to EVs and then sort of say, well, EVs picking up. Well, the real driver of growth in Australia in the short to medium term for large format is energy storage, both at a residential level and commercial level through it into grid. We're seeing more and more grid scale battery complexes coming into play. Soon to get the federal government of Australia supporting home battery installations with subsidies. While most of those batteries will have a life of 15 plus years, there is always an enduring failure rate year on year out of any battery installation. So we look at that and see that as a strong build of battery inflow that we can process over the years ahead.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think it's really important to prove the business aspect of a tech business, and it certainly sounds like you're doing that. Going back on the technology piece, you recently announced foray into rare earth extraction technology. Now, we all know rare earths are quite topical at the moment. We've seen various senior members of the U.S. cabinet come out publicly and talk around restarting mines in the U.S. The supply chain's obviously pretty constrained. Tell us a bit more about what the market is, firstly, and then why you decided to enter this space.
Look, this is something that we've been looking at through our EnviroStream business for quite some time. When we've looked at EnviroStream, our first task was to get to an economic model that made sense for our clients, and then providing a return. And we're starting to see that pay dividends in the turnaround from loss making to now cash flow positive and into the early stages of profitability. We also saw that we would see recycling as a bit of a spine and the opportunity to move into adjacencies, either adjacencies in recycling or adjacencies in services. We've recently announced an arrangement with DB Schenker, which is one of those services, which is the storage of batteries pre-use before they go into use. But in the recycling front, we saw a great opportunity with rare earths, something that we've, as I said, looked at for well over 12 months, understanding the market, understanding what it would take. And part of the reason for looking at that is it's actually an extension of our current client base. If you look at cars, particularly in the EV space, not only do they have batteries, those batteries often contain elements of rare earths, but more importantly, the electric motors that go in an EV contain magnets. Those magnets contain rare earth elements. Similarly, when you look at battery or renewable installations, particularly around wind turbines, the first generation of which is now starting to look to be recycled, you've got a lot of magnets in there, and again, that they can be recycled and pull out those rare earth elements. It is, like all things, something that you want to make sure that you think you could service that market well, and that there's an economic engine, if you like, to be able to make money out of recycling those products. We think there is, but part of the process is being able to extract from those recovered materials, from the to be recycled materials, being able to extract the precious rare earths elements, and we see that we thought that the best way to do that is to work with partners around that. So we've been active in discussion with a range of partners domestically, but also internationally, who have either the technology or the processes that look like they can pull out those rare earth elements. And we continue to evolve those discussions with a view of either have it partnering around that or some sort of licensing model to allow us to bring another element to the EnviroStream business, which is around rare earth extraction of rare earth elements. We think it's a natural place for us to be, same client base in effect, so certainly the same industries and potentially the same client base, very similar processes to what we're doing, bringing something in, breaking it down, and then looking to extract either with partners or through licenses the critical materials that are inside those magnets and other areas of that contain rare earths, which, as you said, is very topical today, but I think medium term is real demand for those elements.
I mean, it certainly helps that the addressable market's about $9.5 billion, which is about 18 times as compared to recycling batteries at the moment.
Yeah, look, there are certainly some big numbers around it, and obviously, as we look at the Australian market, that's a part of it. We see some great opportunities for us to play a really niche place in the overall market, and be able to extract some really strong revenues and, importantly, margins out of being able to undertake those extractions.
Yeah, excellent. Now, just quickly, I want to touch upon Leona, the lithium extraction piece. Obviously, you've had a number of successful, milestones through the commercialization process and development process. It's no surprise that MinRes currently has issues of its own. Where does that leave you, and what does the future look like there?
Yeah, look, we have a great partnership with MinRes, notwithstanding some of the well-publicised issues for MinRes, current issues. They've been a strong partner, a really strong supporter of our Leona technology. As viewers may well remember, MinRes have been funding the Leona technology's development through a convertible note, and that occurred through, we did a piloting campaign through 2024, which was housed at Anstoke in Sydney. And this year we've continued that initial development piece and piloting piece through some engineering work, which is really looking to how to optimise the commercial pathway for the technology. We're wrapping up that stage one activities. We're in the back end of that right now. We will sit down early in the new financial year with MinRes to work through what's the next steps. But a big part of that will be, I think, them moving forward with converting their con note into equity into the technology and becoming a joint venture partner around the development of the technology. And we'll be working through what the next steps are. So we think there's a lot of positivity around where we've got to with Leona. We think MinRes share that positivity, and as I say, they've been a strong partner from our perspective over the last 20 months that we've been working together.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a business case for it, especially when you look at how much there is in tailings around the world already. Touching on VSPC really quickly, the company received a $30 million ARENA funding grant earlier this year, which is no small feat for a small cap ASX-listed company. So firstly, well done on that to you and the team. Tell us a bit more about what that means for the company and what the future of VSPC looks like.
Look, the ARENA grant was a lot of hard work, 12 months of due diligence, rightly so. Government agencies don't open up the public taxpayer purse easily. So securing $30 million for a demonstration facility, which is the next scale up of our VSPC from our pilot plant in Brisbane. That $30 million is not only the construction of a demonstration plant, but the running of that demonstration plant for 2 years post-construction. We've been active on building on that with potential investors of various shapes and sizes since that ARENA grant was announced. It certainly has drawn out some positivity from investors and also from strategics. And by that I mean large OEMs who are keen to secure cathode active material supply from a non-China supply base. And we continue to advance those discussions. We've given ourselves a really strong and short timetable to conclude those discussions so that we can make sure that we meet the conditions that are in the ARENA grant. Not able to say today that we've got all the signatures on a page, Ali, but we're certainly advancing those discussions, and even in difficult investment environment at times, we see some positivity from investors about what the VSPC technology could be.
Yeah, excellent. To wrap things up, Simon, I might ask you for your elevator pitch on Livium. So for everybody listening, why should they, drop whatever they're doing, go buy Livium stock?
Yeah, look, Livium is a lot of people might think you're a lithium stock. We're not. We're a technology stock that plays in the battery value chain. We're in the sweet spot of an energy transition that is rapidly adopting batteries as part of the solution, both in mobility and energy storage. And we have the technologies that play across that value chain and the optionality of those technologies to see a really strong business with strong revenue into the future, today and into the future, primarily today through our recycling business, but the optionality of the upside from VSPC technology and our Leona technology. So
Yeah.
plenty of upside for shareholders coming into Livium today.
Excellent. Well, Simon, appreciate you taking the time, and thank you everyone for tuning in.